Today we are going to be taking a look at a product market graph with a negative externality. Here we have a usual graph with a supply curve and a demand curve. In this case, the demand curve is also equal to the marginal social benefit, and the supply curve is equal to the marginal private cost. The reason that the supply curve is equal to the marginal private cost is because when a negative externality is present, there's another supply curve that is equal to the marginal social cost. The reason that there is another cost on top of the private cost is because the good that the consumer is enjoying is negatively affecting those around the consumer in some way. When the market is unrestricted, it is going to produce at a point where the supply and demand curve that represent the marginal private cost and the marginal social benefit intersect. This is essentially the same equilibrium point used in a standard supply and demand graph. However, because of the presence of an externality, the socially optimal quantity will be lower than the equilibrium quantity, and the socially optimal price will be higher than the equilibrium price. Because the market is producing at this point when it should be producing at this point, there is going to be some deadweight loss represented by this triangle right here. This is because the cost that people are paying is currently higher than the benefit that those people are receiving. At this point, you might be wondering, well, how can a negative externality be fixed? The easiest solution is a tax. Now let's just say that at this point right here, the marginal private cost is equal to $5. And at this point right here, which is at the same quantity, the marginal social cost is equal to $10. This means that a $5 tax should be put in place, which will move the marginal private cost supply curve to where the marginal social cost curve is right now. The tax on a good with a negative externality should always be equal to the difference between the marginal social cost and the marginal private cost at any given quantity.